Hello, and thank you for visiting Graphene Business Law. If you're watching this video on YouTube, go ahead and click on the red subscribe button down below. My name is Pamela Matani, and I'm the principal lawyer and founder here at Graphene. We regularly post content that is most relevant to small business owners and entrepreneurs, and we service clients in Toronto and throughout Ontario for, of course, their business law needs. We also run a little series here on the channel focused at law students, and for me this is a very important series because, of course, having been a law student myself, I think it really helps bridge the gap between some of what we hear in law school and some of what the real world entails. And also, I remember I saw firsthand in law school that not everybody has someone that they can ask these questions to. So, as I mentioned in all of these videos, I think if one person watching this video learns something, if one law student or aspiring law student, then it's a job well done on my end. Now, today's topic that I wanted to discuss with the law student demographic is, and of course, anybody else who's watching, by all means, go ahead and keep watching. But with the law students in particular, and the first year law students, the incoming law students, is that of how to do really well academically in your first year of law school. I wanted to share a few tips that were helpful for me, and actually one or two tips that I may not have been the best at implementing, but looking back or looking around at my classmates at the time or my friends at the time, I could really see the value of these tips and wish I had done more of these things looking back. So the first tip I'll share with is more of a big picture tip, and as a lawyer myself, I know that this tip applies to life as well, but maybe as a law student, you might be a little bit younger, you might be coming out of undergrad, whatever the scenario is, whatever the case may be. And, you might have heard this before, but a big tip to success in life, and not just law school, is that to surround yourself with like-minded people. However, as a lawyer, I can tell you that this tip is especially true in law school. There are students in law school that party not only every weekend, but every weekday, okay? There are students in law school that never show up to class, or I should be careful not to say never, but that rarely show up to class. There's students in law school that show up every single day, sit in the front seat, take the best notes, and don't do that great. And there's students that sit somewhere in the middle of the class and they end up being gold medalists. So all that to say, I'm just trying to highlight a spectrum of student profiles, and you might be one of these, you might not be. And also, insofar as there's truth behind these profiles, of course everyone is different and there can be exceptions to these profiles as well. But I mentioned this to mention that if you're entering law school with the primary objective of doing well academically in law school, so that it can then lead you to your next primary objective, whether that's a great job or a great lifestyle, whatever the case may be, that's on you to reflect on. And but if you're entering law school with a primary objective of how to do well academically, and I'll pause here to say I do have another video that I've linked down below on whether grades matter in law school. So you should look to do well academically. But if that is your primary objective, I don't know how it would make most sense for you to spend the bulk of your time with persons who don't share in your primary objective. In my opinion, not only as a lawyer, but as a person, as an adult, I believe that you would only be causing obstacles, creating obstacles for yourself in not associating yourself and in not spending most of your time with people that are like-minded. If you want to do well academically, spend a little more time with people that are doing well academically. It's not hard to tell who does well in law school, and it's also not hard to tell whose primary focus might not be academics. Every kind of lifestyle is fine for the person that's choosing that lifestyle, and that's not what the purpose of this video is. but bringing it back to one of the ways in which you can thrive in 1L, and again, thrive academically. Surround yourself with people that are looking to do the same. I can only imagine that it would be much more difficult for you to thrive academically if everyone in your circle, or if no one in your circle cares about grades. Okay, and it can be hard, I know behind that suggestion there's also social implications of, what if I want to hang out with someone that doesn't want to hang out with me, or whatever the case may be. And that's part of navigating life as well. But big picture, seek to surround yourself with people that share the same goals as you. And when it comes to that goal of doing well academically, seek to surround yourself with people, and do surround yourself with people, and actively look to surround yourself with people that are looking for the same thing, whether it be study groups that are meeting regularly, whether it be, becoming actual friends with these people. And, the topic of friends in law school, oh my God. But, however you choose to pursue that, whether a once a week or a bi-weekly setup, or maybe you're having lunch every day with these people, seek to surround yourself with like-minded people. So that's a big first tip. Second tip, and also on the vein of, not surprisingly, people, because it's people that fill these law schools, and it's people that fill the classrooms and come to fill the law firms or the courtrooms, or the in-house department, whatever your desire might be. One category of person that I feel is often overlooked in law school, and that, if I'm being honest, is a category of person I overlooked in law school, are the professors. Professors are there to teach you. Most of them make themselves very readily available, and in fact, I found get quite excited when you actually ask them questions outside of class time. So I should clarify that in connecting with the professors, participating in class is great, and that's another sub tip on how to do well, because you can have your ideas checked on the spot, whether by a classmate who challenges you, or by a professor who also challenges you, or maybe even agrees with you. But spending time asking questions of your professors outside of class is really, really valuable. And it is such an instant check on if you're headed in the right direction, and a check that you can implement at any point from day one of the semester to one day before midterms. You can do it by going to office hours. You can do it by sending an email. Some professors, I remember in law school, the one or two I did speak with, would ask me to, would actually, share their numbers with students, share their cell phone numbers for the purpose of, academic phone calls, and you could call them and ask about, question of the Bankruptcy Act or whatever question you had. But the big picture is, spend time asking questions to the people that know better than you, because they have to know better than you. They're there to teach you so that you can then come to know something. And, as an aside, these are the people that are going to be grading your work, depending on the class. Sometimes it's TAs, depending on the project, but overall, a lot of the exams are still graded by the professors themselves, especially, final exams. So there's a multitude of reasons I've just listed, and that's probably not even the whole list, but making time to connect with professors is an invaluable tool. Again, just as my first tip, had social implications to it as well. Depending on what life stage you're at, I know that speaking to a professor can feel intimidating. Maybe you're nervous to reach out. Maybe you're nervous about how your question will come across. Maybe you're nervous just about the fact of reaching out. Are you going to expose yourself as the student that doesn't know anything? No. You're going to expose yourself as a student who has great initiative and who cares about their learning and who is eager to learn more. I cannot say enough good about connecting with professors. It's something I didn't do a lot of. I did really well in my classes. Actually, in some of my law school classes, professors wrote to me at the end of the semester saying I'd earned the highest grades in those classes. So I still did well. That's I'm not trying to indicate anything otherwise. But I could have done better, if not academically, quite frankly, for my own learning as well. I could have learned more when it came to some areas that maybe were outside of my focus, but still good to know, by connecting with professors. and they are literally there. They are hired to be of aid to students and to have that relationship with that academic relationship with the students. I cannot think of a reason not to reach out to a professor. And when it comes to the intimidation factor, I'll just say, for those of you that maybe aren't in law school yet, I don't remember one assignment I had in law school that was not anonymously graded. So there really is nothing to worry about. They're not going to remember you as a student that had a question on, you know, what might feel to you as the most basic of concepts. They've heard them all, okay? Some of these professors have been teaching for decades. Yours is not the first question they hear. It will not be the last. And just to really drive this point home, ask your professors questions. My first point, by the way, my first tip, I should say, was to connect with classmates. But who's going to know even more than your classmates? The professors are always the people teaching even the smartest of your classmates. So to bridge those two categories of people together, classmates or colleagues, as some people refer to them in law school, with the professors themselves, already by connecting with those two groups of people, you are off to a great start. And I'll also say, as a side tip, I mean, thrival is, you know, there's survival and then there's thrival, but thrival is all about strategy, right? As a side tip, the time it takes to ask a professor a question may or may not be less than the time it takes to read a 200-paragraph case from the Supreme Court of Canada. And I'm not telling you not to read, by the way. That's not a secret takeaway there. But I'm saying, you know, when it comes to connecting with people, it can often, although socially there can be, depending on your personality type, there can be things you might be worried about or afraid of. It can often be so much easier of a path to pursue in arriving at the solution you're looking to arrive at. In this case, understanding the course material, doing well academically. The third tip I'll share is that of maintaining really good summaries. If you're watching this video and you don't know what a summary is, I hope it's because you're not in law school yet, and I hope you're not through 1L or even worse, 2 or 3L without ever having seen or heard of a summary in your life. And, you know, I guess I don't know what part of the world you're watching from, but my experience with multiple Ontario law schools, I actually attended 2 law schools in Ontario, summaries are key to survival in law school, okay? You'll see a lot of them floating around. I'll film another video later down the road as to what a good summary should entail, but you'll see a lot of summaries floating around, and not surprisingly, when stock of a certain kind is flooding the market, it might not be the best quality. So you'll see some C summaries, you know, some maybe B summaries floating around, and you'll notice that some telltale signs to tell that a summary is not a good one. They're very wordy. There's no focus. Even when they're short, sometimes they're not to the point in what they're trying to say. There's no definitive statement being made in what the ratio of the case that the summary is portraying is trying to say. So you certainly would need a nose to sniff out the good summaries. But again, refer to tip number 1. Affiliate yourself with people that are looking for the same, you know, results in life and to achieve the same goals in life as you are. If you put yourself in that circle of other students looking to thrive academically, chances are 1 or 2 of them have already landed on a summary. And if they haven't, a really smart tip is to share the work in creating a summary from scratch with that, you know, more academically driven and inclined group of students. Look for ways to ease your workload when it comes to summaries. I would still suggest doing, you know, some of the work yourself. Even if you find, I remember in law school, you know, there were summaries that were handed around that we knew were from a gold medalist years prior. You know, so you knew this was coming from a good source. This was not one of those wordy summaries when they take 2.5 pages of, you know, thought to not even tell you the ratio of a case. These were good summaries. But still, the individual that wrote them is still a human being prone to error. So what I would do is I would still read, you know, the first few cases of a chapter and make sure I arrived at the same ratio as the person that had, you know, come up with this really great summary, so that you can double check your work on the spot right away. And If you get a sense that they're thinking the same way as you in the first 2 or 3 cases of a chapter, there's a higher chance that they're going to keep thinking that same way in the next, 7 or 10, 15, whatever the case may be, cases in that chapter. But long story short, good summaries are going to be your Bible on those law school exams. I don't remember too much opening textbooks in law school exams, and actually a funny comment I heard, and I won't comment on whether I think it's true or not, but I remember sitting once at the back of a class for exams, and I like to sit at the front for the classes to take the notes and just be able to hear a little better. And also sitting at the front, I couldn't look at anybody else's screen, so I had way less distractions than the guys at the back. But for exams, I like to sit at the back. And at the back, for the same reason I wouldn't sit there during the classes, because you could hear more. Once the exams were done, of course, my ears picked up a few things, and I remember these 2 guys next to me talking about how they had seen somebody open their textbook during an exam, and saying, it's over when you have to open a textbook. Okay, so I'm not commenting on that perspective, on whether I agree with that perspective or not, but I want to point out that to law students, if your summary doesn't have something and you have to look to another source, it's considered to be a really, your summary is the only place you should be looking at, if not the main place you should be looking at during that exam. And that little anecdote is just to drive home the importance of a really good summary. Like I said, I'll film a video later on what makes for a good summary, but you should be able to tell also by doing a little bit of the work yourself. Every new concept that's introduced, maybe do a case or 2 yourself, so that you can double check the work right away. If you're confused, refer to tips number 1 and 2, ask other students, ask your professors on whether you've picked up on the right ratio, or whether you think that you've come across the right ratio in a certain body of text. And again, they'll be there to help you. People in general can be very helpful, but you have to seek out helpful people, not only in law school but also in life. And it also helps, I'll say, to be a helpful person yourself. None of these tips are advocating for extreme selfishness 101. That I wouldn't be putting that content up at this time, and when speaking to law students, and especially 1L law students. In 1L, you should still believe the world is a great place. So I'll end the video there. I do want to keep it short because law school can be so confusing, and I don't want to add to your content of confusion. I hope this video has been helpful for those watching. And I really believe in these tips that I'm sharing. I would share these tips with my best friend. I would share them with anybody that asked, about some strategies of doing well in law school. Like I mentioned, some of them I had incorporated myself, including being around like-minded people and figuring out one way or another how to get my hands on a really good summary, including of course producing my own. But when it came to tip number 2, spending a little bit more time reaching out to professors, I do wish I'd done that, but we learn every day and we improve every day. So thank you for watching. If you've already started law school, I hope you're doing well mentally, first of all, and physically as well. I hope you're doing well health-wise, and then I hope you're doing well in whichever regard you're interested in pursuing in law school. I'll say, not surprisingly so, academics are not everybody's first thing they're going after in law school. Some people are looking to be involved in clinics, some people are mooting aficionados, and some people are looking to connect with law school peers outside of law school, so networking and figure out their path to success that way. So everyone's looking for different things, and that's okay. If you've clicked on this video, you might be looking for academic success to help you land a better OCI, and then articling, and then associate position, whatever the case may be, and that's a great strategy as well. So again, I'll end the video there. Thank you for watching, and you feel free to reach out on our website, graphenebusinesslaw.ca, and of course our email, info@graphenebusinesslaw.ca. Thank you.